Hello, Leo, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day. This will be your weekly reading for the week of March 23rd through the 29th. And during that time, we'll have a waning crescent moon, which is a really good time of surrender, rest, and healing. We will also have a new moon on the 29th, which is a time for a fresh start, a new beginning, time to start new projects, new work, or make new decisions. We also do have a solar eclipse on that day. It's early, depending on where you are on the planet. So look up that time if you're curious about that. Okay, Leo, since my readings are free to you, all I ask in return is that you hit that subscribe button. It really helps my channel and it's super easy for you to do. So I will give you just a moment for you to do that right now. Thank you so much. And if you've been a subscriber, thank you so much for coming back and helping me build a community here. It is really appreciated. Okay, this will be an intuitive general reading for energies that you may or may not encounter this week. So, of course, please take what resonates and leave what doesn't for someone else. All right, Leo, your overall message card is surrender to the divine. I believe you are not the first one to have that. That could have been, maybe Gemini had that same card. I don't remember now, but never bad advice, right? Itchy nose today. As I'm shuffling the tarot cards, I would like to remind you to learn something new this week. Pick a topic that you've had some interest in and just really take time to do a deep dive and focus on that topic. So even if you just set aside an hour or two, I think you can afford that, right? Just for yourself. Just take time to really study, take notes, really think about and absorb the thing that you're doing that deep dive on. So that's just my fun weekly reminder for the week. A lot of times as adults, we forget to really deep dive and study on a thing. So just my reminder for you. All right, Leo, March 23rd through the 29th. Surrender to the divine. Let's see what you guys have going on this week. All right, Leo, your overall energy here. Present energy is Seven of Pentacles. So looks like you're kind of waiting for a harvest. You're waiting for something to come in, some seeds that you've planted here in the material world. This could be, of course, something having to do with your job or with work, but it also could be things having to do with your housing and living situation, or just things that are going on in the world for you. Any part of the material world in which you've planted seeds, and you're kind of just waiting for those seeds to come to fruition. Your current energy is the devil energy. So it's your situation that's coming up here. So are you having maybe some self-doubt? This is our card of kind of loss of confidence, false fears. This is fear of success. This is that devil on your shoulder that, as you're waiting, maybe the devil's on your shoulder over here and he's whispering, yeah, nothing's going to come of this. Yeah, you're not getting that bonus. Yeah, that thing you were working on. Yeah, nothing's good. That little, that little negative voice comes through. This can also be a card of dependency. So if there's some sort of distraction or dependency thing that you have going on that's kind of keeping you from working as you're waiting for this harvest, then that's something to really kind of think and keep in mind. But yeah, watch for that devil on your shoulder this week and try not to listen to him, right? At the root of your situation is your ultimate happiness. So this could be on your mind here with this 10 of Cups. This is maybe you waiting for this to happen, based on some seeds that you've planted. Maybe you're thinking, I'm ready. I'm ready for this emotional happiness and these things to come to fruition. I planted these seeds, and you've got this devil again. He's saying, no, not going to happen. So let's not listen to him. That's never good, right? And if we're going to surrender to the divine, that's who you need to listen to here, not this guy. Recent past, Knight of Pentacles. So some sort of action here in your material world. Looks like, this could be some of the work that you've put in. You've taken some sort of action. This could be you working hard, maybe saving some money, you're and you're about to harvest some things from that work that you've been doing. So what is on your mind this week are all of your different choices here with the 7 of Cups. So if you've got that devil in your ear this week, this is a week to just choose wisely, right? If you have all these choices, that's having choices is a luxury. I really see that in life. It's good to have choices, but it's a luxury. Sometimes it's a luxury based upon the hard work that you've done. Some people, especially when it comes to the material world, if people haven't worked that hard, they don't have the luxury of having a choice, right? And I mean, this is the difference between, someone who goes out and wants to make more money, or someone who just kind of stays at a job where they're making the same amount of money. The luxury of your choices become more limited when your finances are limited. You're limited to where you can live because of what rent you can afford, what you can eat because of the money that you have. So, you know, um, having choices is a luxury, and don't squander that. I think is the message that's coming through here is don't you have choices, and you have choices because you've worked hard, and don't let this devil get in the way of talking to you about those choices, or having you make the not the best choices, right? Make good decisions. What is just in front of you this week is some judgment. So, this could be judgment from others, this could be judgment of yourself, this could be judgment of a situation. Hopefully, if you turn this around, this could be judgment of this devil card, this devil on your shoulder, that you're not going to listen to that. You're not going to listen to those negative things, and let it influence your opinion or your choices that's going to deny you to get to this ultimate happiness here. So, yeah, some sort of judgment coming in for you this week, that and is it self-judgment? Are you being hard on yourself? I wouldn't put that past a Leo. So something to watch for this week. In your advice position, okay, 5 of Wands here, which is in your advice. To me, this is the card of kind of debate. Um and in this case, I would say probably friendly debate. Your advice is to maybe hash things out with with people around you that disagree. And if you're having some judgment about yourself, you may have people that do disagree with you about that. So, um interesting position for that card to be in, though, because it's saying, yeah, go ahead and have those debates, have those conversations, have those things. And I mean, it's probably going to move you in a better position. That's what this is friends and family probably that you're going to, and debating, maybe what choices to make, if you're worried about making some choices up here. And have those debates, have those healthy discussions, and use the wisdom around you. People that just know better than you. That's why they're there, right? What is beyond your control this week is a little bit of celebration here with this 4 of Wands. So, and it could come out of this debate. It could come out of, that someone celebrates you and congratulate and said, hey, your way of thinking on this is really good. Don't be so hard on yourself. You're making the right decisions and you're moving forward. Again, we're just going to just, listen to the divine, not the devil. Secret desire, or what you're trying to avoid here, is the Ace of Pentacles. So, is it your secret desire to move on to a different financial opportunity, or are you trying to avoid that? That's going to be your big question this week. So if you're thinking about like maybe a job change or a career change, or moving up in the company that you're working in currently, or something along those lines, this is the Ace of Pentacles is bringing you this new opportunity. And this could even just be the choice of this new opportunity, or the idea of this new opportunity. And the judgment that you may be making, maybe in your current opportunity, the current thing that you're doing, you may have some judgment there that's like, yeah, I'm ready to move up, I'm ready to move on, I'm ready to maybe expand my choices, get to a happier place where I can celebrate. Does that mean an increase in the money that you're making? It very well could be. So, and this is your big question this week, is do you want to move forward with a new opportunity, or are you okay where you are? That's your big question to ask yourself this week, and to be debating with the people around you. in your outcome position is the world card. So this basically says, look, the world is your oyster. Do you want to make this decision? If you can move on, and it's just the next thing. It's like, I see the world card here as like, it's the turn the page, is that life doesn't stay stagnant for very long, right? Things are ever growing and changing, and that's the world. But this is perfect balance. This is this is just discovery, and it's the freedom to make a choice that moves you into the next, that turns that page for you, that gets you to the next place in the world. So that's really just how I see this card, is how, the wheel in the sky keeps turning. Life is new every day. Every day it's the choices you make that take you to that perfectly balanced place of having the kind of experience that you're having, which is always perfect. So in whatever way. What is hidden from you this week is the Queen of Wands. Okay, so this card represents the understanding of your passions, right? And kind of that maternal energy of it, that it's oh, the word I'm looking for here, that it's careful about your passions, and that's kind of hidden from you this week. So if you're thinking about this change, I think what this card is saying is, be careful of those things that you really care about and you're passionate about when you make that change, and make sure that that change can adapt, or keeps those things in mind, keeps those passions in mind as you make a change. And that you need to be careful of those things. If that's hidden from you, it's something that you do need to consider when you're making choices. Are the choices you're about to make going to affect something that you're very passionate about, in a good or a negative way? So as you're asking yourself that question, and debating that, that's something that should be part of that debate, is, the things that you do care about, you care about enough to argue about, and you care about enough to celebrate. So if it's hidden from you to have that understanding, then that's kind of like a little red flag saying, don't forget about that. When you're making these considerations and choices, don't forget about them. All right, Leo, let's get a final message here from the Soul Oracle deck. Final word for Leo, March 23rd through the 29th. Make no judgments. Interesting with that judgment card. What does that mean? That's a little contradictory there, isn't it? We're going to pull one more card. Make no judgments. And there sits the judgment card. Interesting. I can't even make sense of that. And maybe I can make sense of that. Maybe if you, and I am going to still pull another card, but let's talk about this first. Is if this judgment card is here in front of you, and we've got this card that's saying make no judgments, but if you look at your overall message, it says surrender to the divine, and that tells me, the God is always working in a way that is mysterious, right, to all of us. There are, doors being opened, and just little things happening, and maybe that's what you're not to make judgments on, is do you go ahead and surrender to those little signs that you're getting, and the person that you meet that's opening a door that you just think that, wow, I can't believe that happened. That's kind of that surrendering, and not judging that part of it. So that to me is kind of what that is saying, when it comes to this card, is to surrender to the divine, and don't judge that. Don't judge the doors that the universe is opening for you. Another card here is forgive and forget. So interesting with this judgment card. And you'll have to think yourself about what this judgment, I was questioning when this card came out, is this you judging yourself? Are you judging this devil card? Are you judging your choices? Are you judging your situation, your material situation, maybe a job situation? But make no judgments. So I guess just don't judge. You let God do what God does, and let those doors open for you, and let your life flow in a way that is perfect. It's perfect balance. It's the experience you're meant to be having. Sometimes we don't really understand that, and we don't understand why we're moving towards a particular experience, but it seems to make sense in the end, right? A lot of times you look back, hindsight is 2020, and again, you're like, "Oh, well, I'm glad that thing happened because here I am today in an awesome, awesome place." So, Leo, I wish you the best of luck with this situation. Again, there's some contradictory stuff. It may make more sense to you. Sometimes as the reader, it's not my life and it's things that's going on in your life that don't really make complete sense to me. But sometimes when you're listening, you're like, oh, you know exactly what the cards are saying, even though I can't maybe put it into words. So I really do hope that's the case today with this, Leo. So, yeah, I really appreciate your time here with me, and I hope there is something that you can take away and use. I do readings every week, so come back next week and we'll see if this situation continues or if there's, something different in your energy for next week. Also, I will ask again that if you like my reading style, please like and subscribe. It really does help my channel, and of course, I would really appreciate that. And most importantly, it will help you find me next week. So, Leo, good luck with this situation, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.